Hello, Girls to Queens family. We are back. So today it is just me, your host, Gena Bradshaw. And we have a very special guest. So we have Debbie Frasca. She is owner and creator of Cardinal Healings. And I have personally worked with Debbie, and I think her work is phenomenal. And I think it would be a shame to keep her a secret from everyone. And so I thought this conversation would be really interesting. And we at Girls to Queens want you to all become victors of your lives, whether that be in health, finances, career, relationships. We go based off of our 7 gems of mastery. And based off of that, I felt like this would be a really great conversation and also solution to a lot of people who may be battling some ailments in terms of health, injury, disease, whatever it may be. I feel like this is a piece of the puzzle when it comes to overall health. And also, I spoke about this on the last episode. There is her name is Lisa Miller, and she dives into the neuroscience of spirituality. I will add that to the show notes. And so you can get a little bit more of the science background as to what we will be talking about today. So without further ado, Debbie, how are you?
Hello, great. Thank you.
Thank you
How
for
are you?
coming.
So excited.
Thanks. So why don't you tell us a little bit about, let's start with how you actually kind of got into this, because what you do is super cool, very interesting. I personally have, I'm like speechless. I feel like a new person after working with you.
Yeah.
And, how you kind of got into this line of work. And then further down the line, like we'll talk about how our energy systems, like our chakra systems, are involved with that. Like we'll definitely touch on that. But why don't you just introduce yourself and tell us, how you got started and how Cardinal Healings came to be?
Okay, great. So I grew up in Montauk, Long Island, little small town Montauk. I'm just a regular person, my whole life I was, just very shy, didn't fit in like most empaths, just felt a little different, but I was always interested in mediums and psychics. I'm like, I need to know more. I'm like, I was always going to mediums early on in life and just like experiencing that. So actually about 10 years ago or so, I saw the show on TLC, The Healer. And I remember saying out loud, I'm like, I'm going to do that one day. Like, no idea that at that time that I was going to do this, but like in this current life, I've had so many experiences, like everything a human being could possibly go through. I mean, I'm not going to go to the list of them, but to get the idea. So now when I'm doing this work, I have compassion for like every situation that could come up, really.
Right.
And so let's see. So I just was very interested. So I found this course online, this Angel Academy. So I'm like, oh, I need to know more about that. I was just drawn to it, but I didn't have any experience. Everyone that took it like was a Reiki master for 20 years or a psychic or a medium. And I'm like, yeah, I'm just here because I think it's cool. I'm just like, so I did this. And the thing is, you have to work on yourself and clear all your stuff from childhood, so you're a clear channel to help others. So during that time I worked on myself. I think I cried the whole month of November that the year I did it. But it cleaned me all up. So now I'm like clear channel connecting to angels. But the other part of that is I was a powerful healer in many, many, many past lives, which I found out through working with people in the program that were mediums. They're like, oh, you kept getting killed and hung and tortured for doing this work, killed at the stake and all that for doing this work. So they said, this is the first life you feel like you can do the work without being killed. So I'm like, all right, cool. So this whole great awakening, the ascension, all this stuff that's going on right now, I'm here at this time for a specific reason to raise the vibration of the planet, to help everyone heal. And just like what I'm doing is like quantum instant healing. It's definitely something new that I've created. But that journey then I finished that class, and I was very successful from the beginning. Like I hated school growing up. I just was not interested in any of it. I barely got through school, and this was something I wanted to learn. So I literally, like, if you will, graduated like the valedictorian class. To like, I was the most successful. I did this as a business right away. And they were talking, they're like, oh, you could do stuff online stuff. I'm like, I got nothing. Like this was all new to me. I'm like, I don't know. And then like one day the angels like dropped this idea in my lap, and I'm like, oh, and I just went with it. It was so successful. It was, it was an energetic weight release program, and I had people sign up, and it worked for years until the pandemic hit, and then all the stress and anxiety, everyone stopped releasing weight. And then I ended up turning it into an energetic release program, which was still awesome. But anyway, so it's just the angels, like literally I have a knowing. The angels drop things, ideas in my lap, and I created all these modalities. Like nobody does what I do, really. I mean, I don't want to say nobody, but I mean, it's not Reiki. It's something new that, yeah, I don't know. It's pretty amazing. I'm blown away every day. Trust me, this feeds my soul too. When I work with people and they tell me, like, when I can change somebody's life in a half an hour doing a session, it just feeds me and keeps me going. It's just amazing. It's kind of that in a nutshell. I hope that made sense.
Yeah. So, okay. So I just want some definitions for the listeners. So when we're talking about spirituality, I want to make this clear for our listeners. Spirituality is a piece of the puzzle that is innate within us.
Absolutely.
So this is something that all human beings are born with.
Absolutely.
Religion is an external factor that was created by people. So I want people to understand that there is a complete difference between spirituality and religion.
Yeah,
And what we're
absolutely.
talking about right now is innately in all of us, and
Absolutely.
something that we can utilize to heal ourselves and or others. And
Yes.
what Debbie does is totally different. It is incredible, and I personally have had huge success. You know most of the listeners know I'm a 2-time cancer survivor, and Debbie did, like, there was this subconscious like, what did you call it, like, movie going on in my
Oh,
mind.
traumatic memories stuck in the front of your memory field, just watching these movies from childhood, from, yeah, which causes dis-ease in the physical body. It's all about energy and flow of energy. If it's not flowing properly, it causes dis-ease.
Right. Exactly. And so I want people to understand, like, there are other ways to heal. There are other modalities. And I think it's super important that we all become connected with ourselves. And Eric and we discuss inner work. Like, this is part of inner work. And sometimes it's challenging, like for myself, like just getting rid of that subconscious like movie of and traumatic experience of battling cancer at 3.5 years old. And sometimes you can't shake it. Sometimes you need that extra energy from someone else, those healing vibes from someone else, which is like what Debbie does. And it's very helpful. And so this is what we're talking about, the inner work that has to be done if you want to better yourself, if you want to get ahead in life and up level. And it's super important for all of us to understand these. And so now let's discuss energy, because this is a big topic and one of our 7 gems of mastery: energy, and also like our chakra systems. And so can you describe, like, if those are off, how that can create like illness or disease or injury, traumatic experiences? So if you could just explain how that can negatively impact us and also like positively impact us.
Right. So what I've called myself is, because what I do is very different. This was actually divinely came to me, energetic intuitive healer. So energy, everything's energy. So I release trapped emotions, trauma, and toxins. In energetic, intuitive, my knowing, I connect with the angels and just get the knowing, and I facilitate healing. So yeah, so trapped emotions get stuck in our bodies and our organs. The chakra systems, they're all, the root chakra is about safety and security, sacral is about relationships, solar plexus is about self-esteem, the heart chakra is grief and, inner child issues, the throat chakra, which so many people have, the thyroid issues. If you don't speak your truth, if you don't speak up as a child, whatever, you cause, if there's too much energy, if you're not letting go, causes dis-ease in your thyroid and things in your mouth, the teeth, all that area. Then the third eye is intuitive senses, and the crown connects you to the universe, God, whatever you want to call. So the third eye, like, think about it, if you don't use your arm your whole life, it'll atrophy and shrivel up and die. And that's what the third eye is. If we don't use it, if it gets shut down, if you're a little kid and you see something and your mom's like, oh, like your invisible friend, yeah, the kids, you better stop playing with that, and then you shut it down and you don't use it your whole life. That's what we have to start opening it up. And it's practice. It's a muscle in a way, like you just have to start meditating and opening up the third eye and releasing blocks and fears and from past lives. Like you could have got, like me, burned at the stake, and you have a fear of opening up the third eye because you have stuff like that. That's what I had to clear for myself. But yeah, all the chakras are connected to different parts of the body, different organs, different systems. I actually created an energetic acupuncture system, which is pretty cool. It's like, so people feel, they're like, that's exactly how I feel from a real hands-on acupuncture system. Like I'll go through the chakras. I do the 7 main meridians and the chakras and ask if there's too much energy or too little. If there's too much, I release it. If there's too little, I ask to send, and people feel it releasing, and it just balances the whole body. And that one's pretty cool. That one just came to me out of I'm like, all right, let's give this a try. And it's, so yeah, I think, but yeah, the chakras are just like a vortex of energy, circles in our body, the center of our body. And yeah, they really do affect, if they're off, they do affect you in so many different ways. So it's like, people go for a physical massage or a facial or stuff, and this energy work is so much more important, keeping your energy body clear. We take on other people's energy. If we're too open, if you go in a room with a bunch of people, you feel funky, you take their energy on, and it's just, you have to clear your energy body, your systems, your chakras. Yeah.
That is so important for people to know. And I think it's so underrated. Like, I mean,
it used to be weird, the woo-woo and all these, that's why they didn't want, the doctors didn't want anyone to know about this. People that were healers back in the day, they told them they were strange or were those weird people, and they shut them down because the pharmaceutical industry is $1 billion industry, and the doctors would have been out of business, and the pharmaceutical business would have been out of business. So they've kept it under wraps for all these years, and now it's starting. I mean, the world is changing, and this is, 10 years ago, this wasn't so acceptable to talk about and this type of work. So more and more people are open to it. But even the younger generation are really, the 20s, you guys are so awesome. You're like, oh, love it.
I'm fascinated with it because I personally know like what it's like to, first off, I didn't know any of this stuff growing up. I just knew that I was very sensitive to other people's energies, and it could throw me off. Like I remember, being in like groups of people, and I'm a very, extroverted person, but I remember being in groups of people, and sometimes I would really like, my energy would be drained. Like I would have to like really like rejuvenate and like be in bed and like kind of just like get myself back together. Oops, sorry. Get myself back together. So I think it's really important for people to understand that energy is really a huge piece of the puzzle when it comes to healing yourself. And also there's a correlation to like mental health too. So like not only physical health, but mental health. Do you want to touch on that a little bit?
Yeah. I've dealt with a bunch of young girls, depression, they go to the doctor gives them a pill. Here's, take this for the depression. But I've had a few girls that just didn't want to take the medication anymore. They're like, I'm done. And they work with me. And so much of it is so entities, if you go to this, everything's about vibration and energy. If you go to that low place of worry, fear, stress, anxiety, you feel like you're in the muck, you can't get out, you attract this dark energy, like literally entities. And evil spirits too. And a lot of kids, I work with people, their spirits out of body from feelings of abandonment or love unreceived, or it could be anything, jealousy. But I can instantly by Zoom, I work with people all over the world, somebody in Hawaii, whatever. I just like literally release the entities, ask them to go to the light. I can release the emotion of abandonment and put the spirit back into the body, 100% back into the body. And the person's like, looks around like, oh my God, like I'm back. Like he looks around the room like, so, I mean, it's crazy like that. And then, so I worked with this girl once, she was actually hospitalized for depression, and I did my angel healing session. I just released sadness and depression and downloaded with happiness and joy, did her chakras and stuff. And the end of the 30-minute session, she's like, I've never felt this happy in my whole life. Like literally. Wow. In 30 minutes. Somebody else said, you helped me more in 30 minutes than my therapist has in 3 years. I mean, nothing against talk therapy, but this, you can talk about it, but this literally releases those balls of energy of the trapped emotion in your body that, like, it's a ball of energy getting stuck in the body, and it causes dis-ease. Like anger moves into the liver and literally causes, I always think of it as like little emojis or that movie Inside Out with those little gremlins, those things, like the little guy anger moves into your liver and like there's pizza boxes and shit all over, and you're like, I pack up your shit and get out, like take it with you. So I like literally I can release anger. I got a great little story. So this girl I work with had, she was pregnant. She couldn't breathe. She went to the doctor, and the doctor's like, oh, it's just the baby pushing on your, baby's getting big. That's why you can't breathe. So she had the baby during COVID. So she like had some fear and stuff of being pregnant during that time. So she has the baby. 2 months later, she still can't breathe. So obviously it wasn't the baby pushing on her ribs. So I released fear, worry, anxiety from her lungs. I'm like, take a deep breath. She's like, oh my God, I can breathe.
Wow.
Like in 3 seconds.
That's really cool. I also just got the chills.
So that just to give you an idea of how powerful this is. This is like insane what I'm doing. I mean, honestly, I am grateful and humble and like blown away every day for this gift. It's definitely a God-given gift. I did some training. I did a theta class, but this is a God-given gift. There's no human that could teach me what I'm doing, and humans are so like, oh, what are you certified in? Where's your piece of paper that like, I'm like, you can't, what I'm doing, there's no piece of paper for that. Like,
no, there's not.
Like, it is absolutely a God-given gift. It's quantum healing. It's just, it's for this time. This specific time right now, this great awakening, the ascension, the raising the vibration of the planet, holistic healing, the medical, pharmaceutical, all medicine, that's going to be a thing of the past very, very soon.
Let's touch on that. What do you think? Yeah. So how do you think that this is going to play out? And also let's touch on this like great awakening. So, for people who don't understand, so we can like define it and the listeners can understand like the context of this.
Well, it's back to that innate thing inside of us. We are God. We are a piece of God, and the church, the organized religion didn't want God's outside. You come to the church and pray, like it's not within you. And that was shut down, and we've been lied to for so many years that no, we can connect. We are a third eye. We have that ability to connect, and God is inside of us, and we have to go inside instead of looking outside for things. So yes, we all have this ability. The thoughts become things, the power of our thoughts. Like your body is, all these cells are like an army, and you're the leader of the army, and your thoughts are telling your cells, you're like, if we're sick, like, oh, I'm so sick, I have diabetes, I'm never going to get that. Like, those thoughts, you're like, all right, we're sick. We're like, your cells are listening to everything you're saying. Like the power of the thoughts, like, okay, I'm going to get better. I'm feeling better every day. I'm strong. I'm powerful. Like, even if you don't feel that way, like it's really real on so many levels, manifesting like the power of our thoughts. So, yeah, I mean, it's just, we can heal ourselves. I've seen it over and over and over myself. You know, we go to the doctor, we have this pain, say bloating or whatever, or digestive issues, and you go to the doctor and they're like, oh, you have blah, blah, blah. Here's a pill, take this for the rest of your life and it'll help that. And it, you know, all the side effects of the pills and everything. And you're stuck doing that. But meanwhile, it's just a few trapped emotions of conflict and guilt and shame. And then you know, they can be released in 3 minutes and the bloating and the pain and the digestive issues are gone instantly, but it was hidden from us. And the doctors, you know, they have to name everything so they can give it a pill to give to you. And we were brainwashed we think that's the only way, you know, I have to go to a doctor and get a pill. What do you mean? You like, you know, people just, so many people don't understand this, and I get it, you know, like it is kind of crazy to think everything's energy and everything's emotions, a ball of energy in your body that can be released. That's, you know, just, it's a electrical circuit in our bodies. It's energy. It's, if it's not flowing properly, if there's a stuck part, it causes dis-ease. I mean, God made the perfect human. Like our bodies, think how amazing our bodies are. I would say we can grow a human being inside our bodies. Why do you think it can't heal itself? Like, you know, oh, I'm pregnant. When you think about the whole pregnancy and how you get pregnant and this baby grows with eyes and ears and feet and organs and like it's crazy. Amazing. It's like amazing. It blows me away. And it's just like people take that for granted in a way. I'm like, you know, how the body just functions. The heart is beating, you eat some food and it processes. Like the body's an amazing, amazing thing. And yes, it can, everything can rejuvenate, everything can heal, everything, you know, when these doctors rip out organs, it kills me. I'm like, oh, God put it there for a reason. Like it has a job, and it just needs some help. But like, and the other thing is like, whatever happened to you, I'm all about like, hit the reset button. What happened to you when you were 7 should not be a life sentence for the rest of your life. Like everything's a lesson. We're here to learn. And, you know, you lived it, you experienced it. Okay, so now like hit the reset button and move forward in your life, living your best life. Back to that clean slate, deep healing, releasing trauma. Like we don't need to know what the trauma was. We don't need to talk about it. You know, what I do is very simple yet powerful. Like I just say there's a trauma from age 7 and I release it, take a deep breath, let it go. If you get a flash of it, you know, just take a deep breath and let it go. And it's literally gone from the memory field. Like you can literally move forward, hit the reset button and live your best life instead of, you know, having that thing over your head that happened to you when you were 7 or whatever. So
that's so cool. It really is cool. It's fascinating because like you said, this like great awakening where people feel it's innate and now it's almost like safe to
right. Well, people are like literally sleeping. We're in this like sleep state of a trance of being brainwashed and just like walking around like robots, like, okay, we'll just do what we're told and listen to everything. And now the great weight, like we're waking up to like, wait, there's more out there. The universe is, you know, there's more out there beyond the stars, and, you know, the energy is real and this is real. And like, just people are the great awakening. They're waking up to reality. Everything's an illusion. It's just,
yeah, it's true. And
people don't know this is available to them. That's the thing. And for me, I love, you know, you speaking from experience, because that's, you know, me saying it, people like, I don't know, like everything's, you know, everything's a scam these days, or are they, you know, like when you're posting online, like, is that a scam? Is that for real? And so like, I love people speaking from experience that have done it, because you can't explain it unless you experience it. Like it, you know what I'm saying? It's so hard to explain until you experience it.
So pretty much like we met through Spirit and Soul Studio. So shout out to Melissa and Tiffany because they're awesome. Check them out.
Absolutely.
And, I was in there just like chit chatting, and I was dropping off some like extra copies of my books, saying hi to people, and you happened to be in there. And I had gotten to a point where I would get migraines. And like, if anybody suffers from migraines, you know how debilitating they are. Like, they knock you out. Okay. And over the years, I have been able to either work through them, or, my symptoms have gotten better through nutrition, diet, lifestyle, exercise, stress management, energy management. And, there was like this little piece still left, and I wasn't sure like why I was getting these migraines. And they weren't as frequent, which was great. But I remember speaking to Tiffany, and I was just like, I'm so over this. Like, I'm done. Like, I don't want to deal with them anymore. And you were in there, and she was like, you need to meet Debbie. And like, it was so miraculous how
Talk
we
about
just,
divine, yeah, that's
yeah,
divine intervention. We crossed paths for a reason. We weren't there at the same time on coincidence. I mean, we
right.
were definitely meant to meet. Absolutely. It's so cool.
And I was like, ooh, I got to work with her, because like, honestly, I haven't really found anything. Everyone's like, oh, like they have these commercials, for example, like you were talking about with Big Pharma, with people who get migraines, like, and then like the side effects are, you could
Like
possibly have stroke or death. Like, I'm okay.
dependencies, bleeding from the eye sockets. Like, yeah. And people are like, oh, yeah, give me that one. I'm like, oh my God. Like,
And you
they,
know what? People will do it because they're so desperate. And I
oh, absolutely.
understand it. And I
And they're
understand
like,
it.
oh, it's a 1 in 2 million chance of that. Like, but it's really not. It's more, it does affect the other organs and the toxic. I mean, so yeah, it's amazing we're still alive with all the toxins in our food and the environment and the stress and the emotions that are in it, like that our bodies are as amazing as they are, that they still function, even though with some discomfort, but it's our body screaming out to us, like, you got something wrong, you need to deal with. Like, our body, we shouldn't have pain. We shouldn't have, well, you were going to, about the migraine, about going to that,
Yeah.
related to menstrual, right?
Right. Related to my menstrual cycle. And so it's, whether it be hormone, like I don't know the why. However, it doesn't really matter because I just want them gone. So, I reached out to Debbie and we did a session, and I have never felt better. Like, I feel so energized, and I worked through a lot of trauma. Again, we talk about like trauma, but like there's big T trauma and then there's little T trauma.
Well,
So what I went through was big T trauma, and being a two-time cancer survivor, I'm 28 years old. I preach health, fitness, and wellness, like this holistic approach to healing and our health, and I preach it. Like, so it's important for me to test out different modalities and different like healing practices. And finding you, I was like, this is amazing. Like, this is so cool. So I was like, I got to bring her on. We got to talk about this, because there's so many people that are suffering from, mental health, whether it be anxiety, depression, and even what I do on the side of the spectrum in terms of like nutrition and training. Like, sometimes like that helps tremendously, but sometimes that doesn't even help as much. So I find we need these little like tweaks, and depending on your childhood and those past traumas that people have been through, which everybody's been through, it's just a matter of like
absolutely.
how big or small.
Exactly.
So yeah. And so let's leave it on this. Like, what would be your words of wisdom to inspire these young girls and young women to be their best selves?
Yeah. I mean, it's all about stepping into your power. Like, what happened to you, like thinking about your younger self when you were whatever 10 and you didn't speak up for yourself. You're like, it's about healing that inner child and just living your best life, stepping into your power. That's really what it is. Not playing the victim, and just healing those wounds. And it's very simple. I'll just talk quickly about the womb healing is so important for girls. Like, so our uterus and our sacral chakra hold so many emotions, whether, and it doesn't have to be sexually related. It could just be, you know, jealousy, humiliation, love unreceived. They all land in there. And that's what's a lot of the menstrual pain is, those trapped emotions. So I worked with one girl, she used to be on the bed crying every month in pain every time she got a period, like just it couldn't work. So I tapped into her, like I can literally ask every organ if it's happy or not. So I asked you, are you happy? No. And why? So then I released I have a list of emotions. They send me right to the ones and specific to her I just release them one by one. There's usually like 60 or 70 of them. So I did that. I released emotions in the sacral chakra, worked on her. So the next month she calls me, she's like, I just got my period. Like there was no pain, zero pain, gone, like no pain. So that's amazing for menstrual young girls. And it also works for infertility. I have like 10 women that are pregnant, that one girl tried for 5 years, went to every doctor, did every test. She did the womb healing. The next ovulation, she got pregnant.
That's amazing.
And
that's
so many of them are like that, because now the womb, so supposedly we pick our parents. So there's a soul up there waiting to drop into this uterus. And if it's like a toxic wasteland, if you will, of traumas and dark energy and entities, and they're like, yeah, I'm not going in there until you clean that stuff up. So literally we release the emotions. I've released energy, like clean up the womb, the room for the baby. And then it's amazing. Then all of a sudden I get pregnant.
Wow. And I know you've had a lot of success with that, you know, in your classes and the clients that you help, which is really important for young girls, you know, moving forward. And we did touch on the topic of one of our episodes on like birth control, and in terms of, you know, the menstrual cycle and some holistic approaches that you can do and you can take. And this is one of them. This is another holistic approach that you can take in, you know, healing yourself and whatever is kind of lingering, I guess you could say.
Yeah. I mean, and then the whole thing about low self-esteem and stuff, and being in relationships with, you know, that aren't good relationships. And that's all about stepping into your power too, and being like, nobody's going to treat me like this, you know, like I don't deserve this. So it's a learning process. It's cleaning up traumas and being more confident and more, you know, like worthy, and all those emotions of negative self-talk and all that. Like, yeah, no, we've got to get rid of all that. So, you know, it's all
absolutely,
all
and that's
great
what we
stuff
preach.
for so many different. Yeah, the I am statements. I do another session that I'm going to do at the shop, energetic release program. We do I am statements, do affirmations, and I just release low self-esteem, download them with self-confidence, self-worth, self-love. And that's a great session too. But there's so much that is available, like I said, that I can do to help, that you know, a lot of people don't know is available to them. So yeah, this is great.
Right. And exactly why we had you on, so that people know about this.
Right. I just want to reach more people, and it's hard, you know, it's reaching them on social media and stuff. It's in a post, it's hard to get across what this is. It's like impossible, right? So word of mouth is everything for me. And I love, you know, when people tell, like Tiffany's like, oh my God, you got to talk to Debbie. And that was even that was just my story, is that she's worked with me now and she's blown away. Yeah.
Yes, 100%. So Debbie, where can people find you?
So I have a website, cardinalhealings.com, and Instagram and Facebook, Cardinal Healings. My number's on there. You can private message me. I'm on Long Island, but I work with people all over the world by Zoom. It is very powerful. Like I said, I work with people in Hawaii, Saudi Arabia, like all over England, you know, and do it the same way. And it's very powerful.
It is amazing. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for listening. Let us know what you think. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. And that is what we have for you today. Bye, Girls to Queens family.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Yes, of course. Okay.